Great, you got the tips. I'm so happy you signed up to get your tips, Guide to First Thoughts on Selecting Painting Materials. My name is Judith Reedy. This is an opportunity to begin dealing with this question for you. Your tips should arrive in about 15 minutes from now. I know that you can be confused by the variety of materials available, and you can be concerned about misleading advice selecting suitable materials. Whether you pick the wrong media, the wrong paint, the wrong type of pastel, the wrong sealer, the wrong type of pigment, on and on. You're probably hoping for a simple solution, but it's not that simple. Yes, these are troubling issues for sure, but they're not the basic issue. We need to look at some issues that affect all of our decisions, that undergird them all. You know, the art world is pretty broad. You know, this brings to mind a story I kind of would like to tell you about when I was my first introduction to the art world. I was somewhere between 9, I was probably 10 or 12, something like that, years old. And I had a trip to the art museum in our area. Really fine museum. Now it's known as the Calatrava. But I spent pretty much a day there. I don't remember what the occasion, maybe my parents or somebody took me there, I don't remember. But anyway, I don't know how I was there, I just knew I was there. When I came home, I was laying in my bed and I was thinking about these 5 paintings I saw. And I was thinking about how they made me feel when I thought about each one of them. Like, ooh, they were so different from each other. And they were so intriguing, and it made me think, ooh, it would be so much fun to paint, you know? It would be just so much fun. And I was very fortunate. I got to paint. I got to take classes at the art museum pretty much all through upper elementary, junior high, and high school. And then I did art in high school, and then I went on to the university, and I had got my degree, and painted a lot and learned a lot about painting. But I really love that first experience I had, and I still think about those 4 paintings. Every time I go to that museum, I still look at them, and it still sends shivers up and down my spine when I think about them. And they're so different. The paintings are so different. One of them has colors all swirling around, and another one has a solemn, very serene, solemn appearance. Another one is gay and happy and lush, and there was one that was like sparkling light, sparkling colors really that made it seem like light. And anyway, so I'm going to show you the paintings sometime, and then I'll talk to you about them more. But they really made an impression on me, and I just really, to this day, I've played with that. I've played with that idea that I can create different feelings and emotions, and by painting differently. So anyway, I just want you to be conscious of the fact that the art world is really varied, and that you can experience that as well. And before we go ahead and talk about your particular subject, I want to share something about that. I want to share three or 4 things with you. And one of the things is that I love to talk to my students and get my students to start thinking about this for themselves. And that is, what is your temperament? What is your learning style? And I'm not just talking about, like I haven't painted before, I don't know what my learning style is. No, when you do anything, when you learn to drive, when you cook, when you are learning a new skill of some kind, learning to paint the garage, figuring out how to paint the garage, figuring out how to buy a car, whatever you have to engage in something and sort of figure out what to do. How do you go about doing it? Are you spontaneous and just jump in and do it? Do you like to study and consider all your options and then move ahead with a clear plan and very methodically carried out? Is that how you like to do things? Or do you sort of stop and slow down and just sort of quiet your spirit, listen to yourself, listen to your intuition? Do you have confidence in your intuition? Or do you move ahead tentatively, second-guessing yourself and your process and thinking and spinning your wheels? How do you learn things? How do you move into new areas? How do you expand yourself? What's your learning style? When you consider your learning style, you should also look at this next thing, which is, in the end, needs to fit with your learning style. The next question I ask my students all the time is, what type of painting do you love and dream about making? I thought about that when I was, after my art museum experience. I thought about it a lot. I thought about, ooh, classical portrait. This portrait, I wonder how they made it. Now, I know how they make it now, but I didn't know that then. Oh, you start with drawing. You do a lot of drawing. You look at that and you study the figure that you're painting, and you do a drawing and you make sure you get your values right, and then and your proportions, and then you do an underpainting with one color and white, maybe a green, some sort of green, or a burnt umber and white in different values, and you create the form of the face and the shoulders and the background. And then when that's dry, you prepare all of your mediums for all the layers of glaze you're going to put on, where you're going to maybe have 5 or 6 or 10 layers of glazing, and each layer has to have a certain proportion of fat over lean, linseed oil over solvent. You come till you have more oil and hardly any solvent. But then you put these layers on and you wait for them to dry in between, and they're layers of color. Is that the way that you want to work? Is that, I would call that very methodical. That's a very traditional way of painting. But maybe you hate the waiting. Maybe you hate drawing, but love working fast with shapes of color in a landscape or abstract piece, or maybe even a portrait where you're making the values and the tones of color shaping the form of the face by just laying down a brush stroke. That would be a little bit more spontaneous, a little bit more intuitive. It takes a little bit of methodological thinking, but it's still not quite as methodical. And you know what? It's okay. There's lots of different ways of painting. You need to discover your creative zone in a method of working that is suited to your learning style. And this is really important to discover because if you never find this, you'll never have that experience I'm going to tell you about. Let me tell you what it's like not to be in your painting zone. You're hearing these voices while you're painting. Oh, sometimes even contrary instruction. You're in two minds. Oh, should I put another layer down? Should I go wet into wet? Should I scrape? What should I do next? Painting has become a source of stress rather than pleasure. When you have this conflicting streams of thought, and you've probably lost your vision, or if nothing else, you have never had the opportunity to find it. Not being clear on your personal learning style and suitable method for working keeps you from having that wonderful experience of being in the zone while you paint. The key ingredient to persistence in learning, which is the key ingredient to becoming a painter. Persistence. Intermediate painters, though familiar with basics, are often plagued with confusion because they lack this clarifying mindset. It regularly becomes a trap for beginning painters who have never been advised to become aware of their learning style, or to even feel free to investigate different types of painting. Various types of painting require different dispositions, methods, and materials. Some methods are slow and methodical, while others require a totally different skill set. Lastly, I want to consider one other thing. What are your current goals? What do you see yourself as? Having a rewarding hobby to share and enrich the lives of family and friends and community? That's just wonderful. That's a beautiful thought. It's a beautiful gift. But maybe you have a burning desire to push the limits of your ability, or into something you've never tried before, and you want to go for it 100%. And maybe even be a professional artist and travel. And you got to ask yourself, how much time can you legitimately devote to your painting? How much do you want to devote to your painting? Being clear on your decisions about investment of your time and recognizing your learning style and matching working method helps you have a good, clear mental health, which in turn gives you a clarified vision about what you're doing and what you're about. Which leads to the last point. All things being equal, do the art materials and the methods used in making your particular painting that you love, matched to your learning style, offer the results you are looking for at a price you are willing to invest? Okay. Before you select your materials, consider your learning style. Whether you have matched your learning style with the methods of the type of painting you love. Think of goals. How much time do you want to devote to painting? The how and why of what would be helpful at this point? You need to find someone who understands and respects your learning style and the unique strength that it brings to you. To open is open to a variety of painting styles, is sensitive to your time and achievement goals. Look for someone who is student-centered to help guide you in discovering your path. That seems like that might be difficult, in that so many instructors seem to only be familiar with their methods and attempt to mold their students to be like them. And that is how it is in most cases. Such a situation can create so much conflict for you. So much so. Especially if you're not aware of your learning style and matching method of working. Sometimes you just beat yourself up and criticize yourself. What can be done? You know, I told you about my story about when I was a painter, young girl, and I was at the art museum. And I went on and I went to art school. Well, I went on after that and I've taught for like 20, 25 years. And I love painting, don't get me wrong, I love it. But I also love helping people find their creative area. And I love helping them find their painting zone, their zone of happiness. That is such a treat. And so that's why I am creating an interactive program to specialize instruction for students. I didn't know how to do this. I thought about how I could do it. I thought, I'd like to teach this to more people. And then I figured out I could do this on the internet. I am going to create an interactive program to specialize instruction for students. I will be having a test live broadcast with Q&A in the coming weeks. I look forward to talking to you and others who attend. And when you attend, finding out about your particular situation. When the time comes to sign up for this session that I'll announce, after you register, you'll have some questions sent to you before the session so that you can help me prepare ahead for our live broadcast, which will include Q&A. You will be instrumental in designing this course, suited for you. You will begin to discover the type of approach best suited for you through this process of Q&A. You will learn how to identify issues that block your progress, setting you on a trajectory where you can begin to thoughtfully develop your style of painting and get the guidance that you need and the mindset that you need to learn either the basics or to review the basics and focus on what you need, be it materials, color, drawing, or painting, oil, watercolor, acrylic, pastel. You will also start developing the skill to be clear on your direction while feeling like you are in your productive zone, that you love working at your best. But you know what? For today, I have something special. I'm going to be doing the video in the next couple of weeks. But for today, I have something special. Today, however, for a limited time, I am offering a free critique for one piece of your work to the first 10 students who register. If you register at the link below, you will be given directions, special directions on how to set up for your critique. Right below. Link is right below. This is a limited time offer. I will not be able to offer a free critique again. Today, however, I am, and I look forward to meeting you and seeing your painting. Make sure to click on the link below and get ready for setting up your critique.